What's up, Worship Warriors, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to be covering quite a bit, man. I'm trying to tell you now something that I've been really looking to cover for quite some time, right? And that'll be the war over in Gaza, the things that are taking place, the atrocities that are taking place, the mass genocide of a peoples, of a nation, of a culture, right? I've been watching this story unfold. I've been following it for quite some time now since it started. I've been looking at the different things, graphic things that's over on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. And of course, you know, it's uncensored, seeing many children being blown to bits, life being cut very short. And it's just been a disgusting sight to see, y'all. I'm pretty sure you guys have been following this, and it's been going on for quite some time now. But of course, one of the greatest supporters that Israel has right now currently is the U.S., which, of course, there's been many protests here to protest against the support of Israel, doing what they're doing to Gaza, doing what they're doing to the Palestinians, and mass genocide of a people. You know, for people who come from a background of the Holocaust. And I understand that, you know, whatever it may be, you should have some sort of level of mercy, of compassion for another group of people who deserve just as much as compassion as you do. Just as much compassion when the world band together to bring down the Nazi regime, to gain you guys your freedom from concentration camps, and my people were involved in this too, concentration camps, and placed you in the land of Israel. You're not originally from Israel. Your people do not hail from Israel. You guys were placed there. And the amount of sheer disregard that you guys have for human lives in Gaza and Palestine, people that you should show mercy to. It's a shameful thing. But what we're going to be reviewing is the debate between Rabbi Shmuley and Candace Owens. And just, I want you guys to pay, Worship Warriors, I want y'all to pay attention to one major detail in this debate. And that is, pay attention to Rabbi Shmuley. Pay attention to his rhetoric and the amount of just everything that he needs to say has everything to do with taking shots. It has nothing to do with the mass genocide of the Palestinian people suffering at the hands of the so-called Jewish Orthodox Jews, right? Or Israel, right? Because it could be some of them over there who are Orthodox Jewish and they disagree with the war in Palestine. I don't know. I haven't heard from those folks just yet, but I know one thing. Israel's definitely behind the mass genocide, as well as whoever supports Israel. So, Worship Warriors, without further ado, let's get into this debate. Let's analyze this, break this down. Let's shed some light on it, because you already know light creates understanding. Understanding creates love. Love creates patience, and patience creates unity. That's Malcolm X, y'all. That's right. So without further ado, let's cue the Denzel and get into this debate.
Is the sheep preaching hate when he says, I'm not going to let the wolf eat me anymore? If the wolf comes in here, next time he comes in here, I'll do whatever I have to do to keep him off my back. Is the sheep violent or is the wolf the violent one? He wasn't teaching hate, he was teaching common sense. You know, somebody's knocking you over the head, stop them. Do whatever you have to do to stop them. You know, the ones that were knocking him over the head were afraid of the fact that he might swing back. So they said, no, he's teaching hate, he's violent.
Here's what I'm going to say to you, Rabbi Shmuley. Once again, you've just singularly failed to answer my question. So if you're just going to continue every time I ask you a question about the war, which is the point of the debate, to just launch into Candace or her family or whatever, that's your decision. But in the interest
Wait a
of
second.
fairness,
Her
every time
family,
you speak
her
for 3-4
her
minutes,
father-in-law.
well, hang on. I'm now going to let Candace respond if you want to, Candace. Look, it is obviously a matter of public record that your father-in-law, Lord Farmer, did post on X what he posted. He concluded by saying, I point out I'm the Christian Deputy Chair of the Council for Christians and Jews. This was founded in 1942 as a bulwark against anti-Semitism. I mean, do you want to say anything about what your father-in-law posted or anything else that Rabbi Shmuley just said?
Yeah, I'm grateful that he brought that up, and because it's very disturbing to me to see him try to pretend that my father-in-law distanced from me or said something in favor of anything that Rabbi Shmuley is saying. He would never do that. It is very important to understand that, he does support Israel, and he has reaffirmed his support for Israel. And you can imagine that within any family, you have disagreements about things, but fundamentally, it's all love, and it's good for us to have these conversations. Prior to him posting the statement, I had just gotten back from vacation with him. Literally 48 hours earlier, there was something incredibly demonic about a person trying to use the Bible at the beginning of his statement, as he did, trying to quote scripture and immediately following it up by trying to pull a family apart. I mean, that is utterly unholy. And I think the question of holiness and what is holy is relevant to this discussion. I think this is a conversation that a lot of people are having as well. Look, prior to October 7th, I don't think many people were engaged with what is happening in Israel. We kind of all said the same thing. Israel is our friend and ally. I count myself among those people. Post October 7th, the world, and especially I would say Zionists in media, were demanding that we all pay attention. And when we began to pay attention, we didn't like what we saw. You cannot tell me to ever feel comfortable with 18,000 children being ruthlessly murdered. You can't get me to feel comfortable as a Christian with the amount of more explosives dropped, tons of explosives dropped on Gaza than were dropped in Hiroshima. This doesn't make sense to me. Gaza is 30 miles long, 7 miles wide. It's incredibly dense population. And this is, by the way, according to Haaretz, that 40,000 Palestinians have been murdered. I believe they're getting those numbers from the Gaza Health Ministry. And here's what I would like to say to you, Rabbi, since you're quoting scripture, okay? The one that's relevant to me is, woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness. And if you'd like to dive into a little more scripture, I think what's relevant is Revelation 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. And I'm speaking directly to you, Rabbi Shmuley. The fact that you would try to say, I am Jewish, and this is what I believe, and do and say the things that you are doing. People can see and hear evil, and what you are doing right now is an act of evil. The lies that you are telling, not just on me, but also on my family members, are a good example for the world to see what we are referring to when we call something radical Zionism.
Okay, Rabbi Shmuley.
Now, before he gets into his thing, Rabbi Shmuley, there's a portion of the video, of course, I've started at this timestamp because that's what I would like to do. I wanted to start here. If you need to watch the whole debate in its entirety, please go and, go to Piers Morgan's YouTube channel. He has it posted there. But prior to this, he has been taking a lot of shots at Candace and saying a lot of different things, rhetoric of, her in being called certain names, like, Candace Owens and things like that, like, saying that, in the community, as far as the black community, or, that she is being ostracized because of her position on the Black Lives Matter movement, which, of course, the Black Lives Matter movement has been funded by Jewish people, have been created and designed and funded by Jewish people. The Black Lives Matter movement has nothing to do with black people, has nothing to do with black lives. They could care less about you. They're just looking to make $1 off of you. There's an opportunity there. The only people they truly care about is the homosexual community and whatever other community they want to fund. And they have already been debunked. I believe Candace has already done a full documentary on Black Lives Matter and their misappropriations of funds. Them funding different regions and never funding anything that had anything to do to build up the NAACP, to build up black people that united, to do anything for the community itself, but they have definitely built an empire of BLM on the backs of black individuals. Now, same thing with anyone who has passed away from a knee on the neck or whatever it may be. Of course, it was speculated. I don't believe that the knee was typically on the neck. I believe that he died just from an overdose of drugs. But when it comes to the mistreatment of blacks, even the mistreatment of black individuals in business, we just had a thing as to where we needed to pass certain laws to have our black farmers get funding, because of their black. Just because of their skin color, they were not able to get funded, and they were lacking the funding needed to be able to pursue a proper crop to be able to feed the nation, right? Just because they were black. Where was BLM in this particular situation? What position did they take? Because that's something that's really important. Our black farmers is the backbone of this country, is the backbone of our communities, and they stand with us in everything, right? Where is BLM in supporting our black farmers and supporting the black individuals who are trying to build the communities? Where is BLM working hand in hand with the mayors, with the governors, with the sheriffs, and trying to sort out issues and common problems within the communities? They're nowhere to be found. So, of course, she's not ostracized. Of course, she's taking a positive position that helps wake our people up as to what the reality truly is. So, but let's get back into this thing. Just pay attention to him and what he says. Now, this is truly about Gaza. This is truly about the bombings. This is truly about the lives that are being lost. Let's take a listen as to what his response is going to be.
And okay, thank you. And of course, Piers, there was nothing ad hominem about my being demonic. This is a 2-against-1 debate. I expected that.
It's not a 2-against-1 debate.
And I will, excuse me, no, it's a 2-against-1 debate.
You've made no attempt to answer my questions.
No, Piers,
Candace,
let me
Candace
speak.
has been trying to answer my questions.
Candace just said,
you're not.
Candace, filth, demonic, there's nothing ad hominem about that. You are correct. You're right, Piers. Candace Owens just said that Israel dropped more bombs on Gaza than on Hiroshima. Hiroshima was an atomic bomb, Candace. Why don't you just read Wikipedia? Israel has nuclear weapons. They've never used them, so I have no idea what you're talking about. Now let's look at Israel's justified defense. Israel admits, and even Hamas admits, to a 1-to-1 civilian to combatant ratio of civilian casualties, which is a tragedy. It shouldn't even be one. But remember, Hamas fires their rockets from nurseries. The United States and Afghanistan had a 4-to-1 ratio of civilians murdered for every one combatant. In the Korean War, it was 5-to-1. In Iraq, it was at least 2-to-1. Israel has the lowest per capita ratio of combatants to civilians. Candace should acknowledge that. That is what we call a fact.
But you should hang on. You should also acknowledge then that there is a unique demographic in Gaza where of the 2 million people who live there, half of them are under 18. So that's a very different demographic to any of the other scenarios you're talking about. That is what's caused so much international opprobrium against Israel, is the fact that so many children, pro rata in the civilian death count.
It took me about 5 minutes to do the test. 5 minutes that everybody has.
Count been killed. It's that people are so exercised about, and rightly, because what's happened here is obvious. Hamas, yes, they've embedded themselves in civilian territory. Yes, they've built all these tunnels. None of these things are to be disputed. But the problem with going after Hamas in the way that Israel has been doing is that the collateral damage, as they would put it, to so many thousands of children has now tested the patience of the world to a degree that vast quantities of the world are against it and want this to stop. That's the reality.
I think that's a very fair question. and I don't like whataboutism. But Candace Owens never spoke out once against Bashar al-Assad, who killed 600,000 Arabs, and he actually gassed to death children. He targeted them with mustard and poison gas. You remember that President Obama said that's a red line, and then he gave it to Putin to get rid of those weapons of mass
which was
destruction.
completely
God bless
wrong,
President Trump, who actually wait, just a second. President Trump, God bless him, actually fired 59 cruise missiles when Assad did that. It's funny because people say that President Trump is anti-Muslim. He's the only one who protected Muslim life. Piers, Hamas has ruled since 2006. They won an election jointly with the PA. They took the Palestinian Authority representatives and threw them off of rooftops. They then subjected the Palestinians, 1.5 million Palestinians of Gaza, to the most ruthless persecution that we've ever seen. They stole all their money. Ismail Haniyeh, who was assassinated in Tehran, is worth $4 billion. Now he's fighting with Erdogan, his kids, over who's going to inherit that. Khalid Mashal is worth $3 billion. You and I both know that the Palestinians of Gaza got triple the amount per capita, prorated for our times, of the Marshall Plan. All of that money was stolen to build tunnels. There isn't one bomb shelter. The reason why people are dying in Gaza is because that money was used to buy penthouses in Doha, Qatar. There isn't one bomb shelter that from Hamas. Hamas shoots and murders anyone who challenges their authority. They were elected in 2006 to a 4-year term. It's now 20 years later. Hamas specifically, and that's why they're being condemned by the Palestinians right now. They want Palestinian children to die because the more they die, the more you will condemn me and Israel.
So the reason why these people are dying is because Hamas was buying up penthouses in Gaza rather than spending money on a bomb shelter. Well, who's dropping the bombs? Rabbi Shmuley. Who's dropping the bombs on 40,000 plus people and murdering 40,000 plus people and injuring so many more? Who's dropping the bombs? Are they dropping bombs on themselves? Are they dropping bombs on themselves, or is Israel dropping bombs on them? Right? What did Malcolm X say? We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. It's the same thing. Okay? It's the same thing. A mass genocide of people. Your people have decided to continue the mass genocide of a people. It has nothing to do with your war.
Let's remember, Piers, your parents are part of the greatest generation. Winston Churchill was told by the Americans, don't bomb German cities, Hamburg, Dresden, etc. at night. You can't see what you're bombing. Do what we Americans have, which is precision daytime bombing. And Churchill said, no, my pilots are more important. We need the RAF.
All right.
And he flattened German cities. And he is considered today the greatest British statesman of the 20th century. Because he felt he had...
By the way, the flattening of cities like Dresden was widely condemned at the time, including by many people in Britain, and led to the establishment of the Geneva Convention.
Dresden was Dresden was the last month of the war, but before that, Hamburg and everything else was not condemned.
It led to the establishment of the Geneva Convention after World War II, specifically to stop.
And just look at the complete tap dance around each question that Piers is asking him. He's not directly answering the question. He's not directly presenting an answer. Is it right or is it wrong? Do you believe that what is happening is the proper way to handle this, or do you not believe it? Do you stand with millions of people who are that are in the world that are watching this atrocity? And do you side with the people who disagree with the atrocity, or do you side with the people who have made the decision to bomb? The reason why he will not answer the question and will continue to tap dance around is because those are the people who pay his bills. Those are the people who fund him. Those are the people who support him, or the people who are deciding to do a mass genocide of a people in Palestine and Gaza. Those are the people who have his tongue. Those are the people who are telling him what he can and cannot say, what position he has to take. Because let's not forget, this guy's been around for decades. And let's not forget that the Jewish individuals, Orthodox Jews, have a major hand and iron fist in the Hollywood industry in Babylon, right? Because that's modern day Babylon. These people have an agenda. They push their agenda. He's been a part of Hollywood for decades now. He's been the rabbi for Michael Jackson, who put him, Rabbi Shmuley, on a watch list or an enemy list, in thoughts that Rabbi Shmuley was someone who was trying to destroy his life. So we have to understand what we're dealing with. His tongue is tied. He can't say anything about this. He can't speak in contrary to the decisions that are being made to mass genocide a people. Over 40,000 people dead, okay? Children, men, women, children, innocents, has nothing to do with your war. Dead. So let's continue. Let's get it.
That kind of thing happening again. So I'm glad you raised that example. Candace, you've got over 3 minutes.
So do you condemn Winston Churchill as a war criminal for Dresden?
No, absolutely not. No.
Why not? You just said that it was wrong.
I was
Winston Churchill as a war criminal for Dresden?
Well,
please, you said not, but why?
If you're both going to ask me the same question, let me be clear. Winston Churchill was not a war criminal.
And as you can see, he's asking them, or do you condemn this? And the answer is yes, I do. He is doing a direct. This is psychological warfare he's doing right now. He's using these questions because he is avoiding the question: are you or are you not? Are you against the war in Gaza? Are you against the mass genocide of a nation of people? Yes or no? Yes or no, Rabbi? Yes or no? Just answer the question, yes or no. Don't dance and tap dance around it. It seems like you're trying to make an excuse as to why this bombing is justified in your heart. And, Most High will get you for it. He's seeing everything you're doing, Rabbi.
Right? But some of the ways that
Why not? He bombed Dresden and killed 25,000 people.
Yeah, he also saved the world from Adolf Hitler and the Nazis.
Oh, he saved the world. So Israel's saving the Middle East from Hamas, Islamic Jihad, Iran.
But it's not, though.
Hezbollah.
Israel's not doing that.
Thank you for answering my question.
Well,
case closed.
All right, let me go to Candace.
If I could just interject here, just to respond to that, I was going to say exactly what you said, Piers. Like, Dresden was considered a Holocaust. It was, in fact, a war crime. And there should be debates about what happened in Dresden. It was absolutely horrific that a bunch of Christians were skipping off, on the eve of Ash Wednesday. And then they were quite literally reduced to ashes. It is wrong. And the fact that you are having to reference a war crime to justify what's happening in Gaza is not a point for you. It's completely awful. When people say, oh, well, look at what we did. Look at all these other horrific things we did. Why do you care about this horrible thing that's happening? I don't even understand that logic. It's completely ridiculous. Look, there is no person in good conscience who should be comfortable with the amount of death that's happening in Gaza. And yes, if you are going to correlate it to Dresden, that would be a fair comparison, except much more has been dropped on Gaza than was dropped in Dresden. So is it fair to call what's happening in Gaza a Holocaust? Is that what we're looking after when you have this nonstop onslaught? And it's completely ridiculous to say, oh, well, this is happening because of Hamas. Let's be very clear. It is happening because the Israeli government will not stop bombing them, okay? So you had a very sympathetic audience all around the world, myself included, when October 7th happened. There was not a single person that should or could justify the terrorist acts that was enacted by Hamas. But the collective punishment that is being assigned to the Gazans, the Palestinians living in Gaza, is also unacceptable. And the entire world should condemn it, and it should be made to stop. And I do believe that a radical fringe has taken hold of Israel. And further evidence of that, by the way, is that we are not even allowed to critique Israel without having people like Rabbi Shmuley, which I never said he threatened to murder me, but he has threatened me for 2 years, essentially trying to bully people into their belief that they have a right.
You never said that I threatened to murder you? We're going to post every
No, I never said that you threatened to murder me. Don't cut me off. I did not cut you off.
Okay, I will not cut you off. Go ahead, please.
I did not cut you off, okay?
Go ahead.
The point is that now what's happening across America is that you have Zionist organizations that are threatening and bullying people because people are taking a stance against this act against humanity. What they're doing is inhumane in Palestine. And so what they're doing is they're saying this person should get fired, this person should lose their job. The Zionist Federation of Australia just asked for me to have my visa banned simply because I don't support what Israel is doing. And if that is what I have to pay, if ultimately what happens, I get my visa banned because Zionism has a lot of money in media, then so be it. It's less of a price than the children in Gaza are paying right now. And as a Christian, I will never support what Bibi Netanyahu is doing.
Right, and what's interesting to me, Rabbi Shmuley,
may I
well,
respond?
hang on.
May I
Yes,
respond?
yes, but let me just say again the question I put to you earlier. It's not just people outside Israel who are now heavily criticizing Netanyahu and his government. It is people inside Israel in massive numbers. And so my question for you is, why? Why are so many people inside Israel taking to the streets to demand that Netanyahu stop this war?
No, they never said he should stop the war. They said there should be a ceasefire to release the hostages because Israel is a cult. Don't interrupt me, please, Candace. Because Israel is a culture of life. And that's why Israel got into this mess for October 7th. They traded 1,000 murderers, including Yahya Sinwar, who Israel saved at Soroka Hospital in Beersheba when he had a brain tumor. The Hamas Hitler, who's the architect of October 7th, Israel saved his life. It's a culture of life, even for Palestinian murderers. They traded 1,000 for Gilad Shalit. You remember that. And now a whole group is saying, even if it leads to another October 7th, I need my children home. I understand that. Piers, I have 2 sons fighting in this war. I understand the dangers that are being faced. No one's saying to stop the war, not to destroy Hamas. They're saying call a ceasefire to release the hostages because of their execution. But I must respond. First of all, Candace just said that Israel dropped more bombs on Gaza than on Dresden. What's your source for that? Do you know that in Dresden, there were 1,000 Lancaster bombers sent over 2 nights by Churchill, and then 800 American, that's 1,800 bombs. What's your source that Israel dropped more than on Dresden?
So it's just interesting because you realize that you use Dresden as an example.
No. Answer the question. You just made Piers. This is deflection.
I said more tons
you
of
said
explosives.
That Israel. You just made a blood libel against the Jewish state. Dresden was 1,000 Lancaster bombers over 2 nights. I am asking you, what is your source?
This is getting very boring.
The answer. Okay, don't interrupt me, please. The answer is Piers. It's my turn. Piers.
Rabbi Shmuley, you can't ask someone a question and then refuse to let them answer.
So I asked for a source. I didn't ask for.
So, yeah, this is getting out of hand, and as you can see. Candace Owens is doing a fantastic and phenomenal job in being poised and self-control and waiting on opportunities to answer questions, on being respectful, being honorable, right? And not being disrespectful and cutting people off while they're trying to, make a point, but allowing them to say their point in its entirety. As to where Rabbi Shmuley has come, I guess, with an agenda, has come with a chip on his shoulder, has come looking for confrontation, just looking to be contentious. So, with that being said, we obviously see what the problem truly is. I mean, if you are mature enough to have a debate, have a conversation, and allow the things to be said that needs to be said without lying, without trying to tap dance around the questions, answer them directly. If you support the mass genocide of a people, then say that you support it. That way we can clearly identify who you truly are. Like Candace said earlier, right? She used the chapter, the scripture, Revelations 3:9, which, and he said it once again as well in Revelations 2:9. He said, I know those who are rich. I know thy poverty, but thou art rich. And I know those who claim they are Jews, but do lie, but they are the synagogue of Satan. Behold, I will make them bow to you at your feet, to let them know that I have loved you. and talking about the real true Israel. Just remember that your people, after World War II, were placed in that land, in which the Palestinians at that time stated, they said, you guys left here black and came back white, and they did not receive you, your people. And which you guys proceeded to do what? A mass genocide at that time period as well. You guys started to murder all of those Palestinians who did not receive you as being the people of the Most High, as not being the people of Israel. Okay? Because they said that you left black and came back white. And we're still having the same issues and turmoil here today. And these are facts. You can look them all up. You can look it up back then too, when they first inhabited the land of Israel. The Most High said in the scriptures that the land of Israel would be trodden down by the Gentiles until all be fulfilled, until heaven and earth pass. And what is it doing right? It's being trodden down by the Gentiles. And has heaven and earth passed? I believe it has not passed. It's still here now. So let's get back into it. Let's get it.
Heard your question.
It is
We've heard the
absolutely
question.
absurd.
Candace.
I'm going to respond to what you are saying. This tactic of when anybody brings up anything that Israel is doing is wrong, you get to just scream blood libel and anti-Semitism.
Don't interrupt her.
Oh my gosh, it's a blood libel. It is not a blood libel to talk about the amount of death and the tons of explosives that have been dropped on the civilians in Palestine, okay? That is not a blood libel against Jewish people. This is such a nasty and perverted tactic, which essentially says, I don't have to debate anymore because I get to just call everybody a person who's accusing me of blood libels. Okay, truly, what is happening right now is that the blood of Palestinians is being shed. Okay, that is not a libel against the Jews. That is a fact and a reality against Bibi Netanyahu and this government, which has gone extreme in their response to October 7th. So stop this tactic.
Understood. Piers, can I now have my turn again? All I asked was the source. Clearly, she has none. It was invented out of whole cloth. That's what.
The all-new GMC Acadia takes you on even bigger journeys with available Super Cruise hands-free driving. Live your biggest life in the all-new GMC Acadia.
What a blood libel is. A blood libel is when Candace Owens says that the actual medieval blood libel, that Jews killed Christians and drank their blood, she actually believes that. She said, please don't interrupt me. She actually says that there were Christian bodies found all over Europe. When she said that I am not trying to kill her, we will post right after this, where she said it at least on 8 occasions. That's why she's being investigated by the FBI. Because you can lie about me, you can call me filth, and Piers won't, and you can call me psychotic. I've never said that about you. But what you can't do is incite violence against my family. You have repeatedly said I'm trying to kill you. You said the Jews killed JFK. You said if the Jews killed JFK,
you said all this earlier.
We couldn't protect the president. Okay, wait one second.
Can we get back to the debate
for a moment? No, wait. Let's just go back for a moment. No, Piers, I have to respond to things.
Would you like a
when
source?
Candace says that it is when Candace says it is demonic.
You wanted the source from Candace.
I never got.
You
I
wanted
never got between.
Rabbi Shmuley, you wanted the source from Candace. I think she has one. Well, why don't you let her answer? I think she has one.
Let me fact check this source as well. So 70,000
Yes, I want to see where Israel dropped more bombs on Gaza than Dresden. Go ahead.
70,000 tons of explosive have been dropped on the Gaza Strip. Let's see how many tons of explosives were dropped on Dresden. 1 second.
You mean she said it and now she's fact-checking it? You're kidding me, right?
Well, you're asking me to give you the direct source live, and I'm going to look it up for you, so give me 1 second.
I don't have a computer on me. I don't have a computer on me. This is ridiculous.
Let her finish.
This is a cheat sheet. This is absurd.
Let her answer the question.
Go ahead.
Candace.
So 2,700 tons of bombs were dropped on Dresden in an 800 bomber air raid. And that is according to Britannica, the encyclopedia.
And what was the tonnage of bombs dropped in Gaza?
In Gaza,
it really just ain't looking good for you. You know, these people in Israel. It's not looking good for the Ashkenazi Jews. It's just not looking good for y'all. 2,000, 2,000. You guys are trying to kill roaches. This is what y'all trying to do. Y'all trying to kill roaches. Y'all. You don't even see them or view them as human beings. You don't view them as anything less than roaches. You're trying to do a mass extermination of a people. And so I would think that you guys would take a second to think back on your ancestors. As you know, of course, we have here talking about the Holocaust. Thinking back on your ancestors is what they had to suffer through and endure during those times when there was a mass genocide of those people, the Ashkenazi people, right? And how the world had to band together to save your people, to save the mass genocide of your people. What do you think that the world should do against you all, who are continuing to destroy many lives in Palestine, in Gaza? What should the world respond with? Should the world respond by continuing to support you and you guys' continued efforts in exterminating a culture and in doing a mass extinction of a culture of people in Palestine? I feel for the people in Palestine because my ancestors and their ancestors, we got along just fine. And we got along so well that we would watch each other's children. We treated each other like family. The moment that they placed your people in Israel is the moment that chaos erupted between Israel and Palestine, because Palestinians know that you are not the people. So let's keep it real. Let's keep it a buck. And that truth is not going to come out for the masses to know. They're going to continue to suppress that truth. But let's get it.
$70,000 tons of explosives were dropped in the Gaza Strip, and I got that from CNN.
Through the duration of the war today, okay. Is that the timescale?
Yes.
Okay. So Rabbi Shmuley,
which
that would
they're
seem
saying
to be
has surpassed
so let's be clear.
Dresden, Hamburg,
so over 11 months, she's comparing an 11-month war to a single night in Dresden. That's clearly absurd. I'm glad that she has her cheat sheet, her computer in front of her. But notice, she made this
you
statement,
called it a blood libel,
not knowing what she was talking about.
She
Just
said,
a moment, please.
Hang on. What she said, to be clear, was that the Israeli...
It's also in the New York Times.
The Israeli Defense Force had dropped more bombs on Gaza than were dropped on Dresden. That is true. Do you accept that, Rabbi Shmuley?
You know, Piers, I find this an astonishing debate.
You ask?
Wait. First of all, I don't. Wait. What do you mean it's true? Because she said it's true?
No, do you accept that's true?
Checkers?
The New York Times says it's true.
Is this a serious show? Wait. Every time I try to speak,
you asked for a source. You called it a blood libel. You asked for a source. Fortunately, we had time to look it up.
Excuse me, you are interrupting me. She made a definitive statement. She admitted she had no source. She had to then use her computer. It's absurd that she has a computer during this debate.
But she was right
because she had to look it up. One second.
But she was right.
Now she's saying that over an 11-month war. No, we don't know that she's right because your fact checkers haven't checked it, and my fact checkers haven't checked it. But let's just go back for a moment. Israel was attacked in the most savage way, and women were gang raped, their breasts were cut off. Candace recently had a guest on who even denies that women were raped. Now she's saying it's in the New York Times. She said the other day that the New York Times lied and fabricated about the mass rape of women. She had the former press secretary of Bernie Sanders who denies that. Now she suddenly likes the New York Times. You are speaking to the #1 critic of the New York Times in America. And by the way, this is a typical thing. Candace will say there's no racism in America. Then she will sue, which she did, the Stanford, Connecticut Board of Education for a $40,000 settlement against racism. She then went on a show and fabricated and said it wasn't a settlement, it was actually for tutors for 1 month. You tell me which tutors are paid $40,000 per month. She will say that I have no right to bring up her family. First of all, I didn't. It was her own father-in-law who condemned her. But she can bring up Brigitte Macron. She can bring up Emmanuel. She can destroy their marriage. obsess, and you were very good on that, Piers, challenging her. She can destroy other people's marriages. And you know what's also interesting?
But hang on.
Wait.
Don't just keep talking.
One final point. The day after October 7th, she said nothing for a few days, never condemned it.
Yeah.
And when you asked her on the show, she said, Piers, I never talk about anything international. Is Brigitte Macron an American?
But
so she can speak about the genitals of the First Lady of France for months, but not condemn the gang rape of Jewish women?
I've already said to Candace, I don't believe a word of the Brigitte Macron thing. What I would say about what you've just quoted Lord Farmer as saying, you said that he condemned Candace in the statement he put on X. He didn't condemn her. I've just read it again, and there's no condemnation of his daughter-in-law. He simply set
You're
out...
kidding. Read the first line.
In view of public comments from a high-profile member of my family, I want to put my own views on anti-Semitism and Israel's current military campaign in Gaza on public record. Where's the condemnation?
Thank you very much.
Candace?
Thank you.
Where's the condemnation?
Thank you. So let's get the timeline. Candace says she was on vacation
Where did he condemn
with her father-in-law 2 days before.
Where did he condemn her?
You and I can read between the lines on any press statement.
I'm not reading between the lines.
Number one, she says, in
you
view
said
of
he condemned her.
A high-profile...
I've just shown you he didn't condemn her.
He absolutely condemned her.
No, he didn't.
He doesn't once say, it's my daughter-in-law, Candace, and I love her, but we disagree. Number two, he went on to say that Israel has every right... He was distancing himself for her repulsive, putrid, and reptilian anti-Semitism.
He gave his own opinion.
Why did he start by saying, in light of a high-profile member of my family?
He gave his own opinion. He didn't condemn her and didn't even name her.
Candace, he distanced himself from Candace.
Let me ask Candace a different question, which is this. Candace, why is it, do you think, that so many people in the Jewish community believe that you are anti-Semitic?
I think that's actually a very good question. And just to go back, I'm going to answer your question. I just want to make sure people are recognizing, because he said a lot of stuff there, he's not able to counter. He essentially tried to hold me to looking up the sources. We've now found the sources, and it's the BBC, it's the New York Times, and it is the Euromed Human Rights Monitor.
We have found no sources, and we'll fact check it afterward. You looked it up during the show. I'm sorry.
70,000 tons of bombs were dropped on Gaza, and per the BBC, the British aircraft dropped 4,000 tons of bombs on Dresden. So just for clarity,
in a single night, not 11 months. In a single night, correct.
Please don't cut me off. I have not cut you off. He called that a blood libel because that is a strategy, which is meant to just distract people from the truth or looking into it. So you say everything you say is a blood libel. Now, to answer your question, Piers, I think that's a very good question. And the answer for that is because the media as an entity has been basically mining Jewish pain, the history of their pain, by taking people out of context and presenting things that are as a fact that is simply untrue, things that I've never said. We are watching right now, and that's why I'm grateful for you to provide this opportunity. You are watching Rabbi Shmuley do this live, right? When we talk about yellow journalism and people that take things out of context and try to present it to people with a bunch of hysteria and go, oh my gosh, Candace said this. Oh my gosh, Candace is a Holocaust denier. Oh my gosh, he's called me all of these names, and he doesn't have a single fact in there. They just know that if they say those things, it's a trigger. It is reminiscent of exactly what was done for Black Americans for a very long time. They have now since changed their perspective on me, but for a long time, they thought that I legitimately hated being Black and hated the color of my skin because I stood against Black Lives Matter as an organization, and I stood against what Black Lives Matter was doing. And the media made them hysterical. She's a Black person who doesn't even want to be Black, and she's a Black white supremacist. They bought that narrative because when the media lies, a lot of people accept that what they're reading is true. But of course, I didn't hate Black Americans. I didn't hate anything other than BLM abusing and mining Black pain, going back and saying, well, it's going to be just like slavery, to distract people from what was ultimately just a fraudulent organization that was actually going to bring more harms to Black Americans in the end. And that's how I feel about the state of Israel and everything they're doing. Ultimately, I believe it's going to yield more anti-Semitism. It's going to make people associate what Bibi Netanyahu is doing to all Jews around the world. And so I think it's important for them to realize it's these same exact tactics of manipulation, the same exact name calling and ad hominem attacks that is not based in fact and not based in reality, but based in not wanting to answer the fair critiques that people have about what Israel is doing. But that's a very good question.
Okay, Rabbi Shmuley, I mean, there's some...
First of all, come on now. Hey man, Candace never fails to deliver. Like honestly, eloquently said, very well said. And what can you rebut with? What can you say, right? Because it has been proven that BLM has been on that type of time. I've already said what I need to say about them and that organization and the way that they move and what they have been doing to misappropriate funds. They've never done anything for the community at all besides riot, loot, and destroy the community and encourage people to destroy the community, all while making millions of dollars to do so. And it's outrageous. Buying properties, giving money to different LGBTQ communities, nothing that had anything to do with the NAACP and building up the strength and the backbone of the community, black community, because black lives are supposed to matter, right? Same thing with our black farmers who had to advocate for themselves to be able to get funding to be able to raise their crop properly or to start to do the farming that they would want to do in the way on the level that they need to do it at, right? Being denied funding. Where was Black Lives Matter during that time? Nowhere to be found. If anything, they're the ones who are I guess black white supremacists. It's that simple. And funded by the Jewish population community, Orthodox Jews. They're funded and given their start from white Jewish men. And then they put these black lesbian women in charge of these things that were completely misappropriated. So, very well said, Candace. Very well said, Candace. But let's see what this guy's going to say. He's been tap dancing this whole time throughout this whole interview. I don't think that he's answered any of the questions straight up. I believe that he's taking his opportunities to throw shots at Candace more than anything. But I believe he's doing so because he already knows he's defeated in this conversation. And he knows what he cannot say. He can't say certain things that speak directly against the decisions that are being made to do a mass genocide of people over in Palestine, over in Gaza. So he's not going to want to speak against that. But let's get back to it.
To that argument, I think, is that too often I do see people immediately branded anti-Semitic if they dare to criticize the Israeli government. But there's a very big difference between criticizing a government and its actions and a whole people, which is what anti-Semitism is. And do you accept that difference?
The beauty of Israel is it's a democracy. You just said that hundreds of thousands of people are marching against Benjamin Netanyahu. I welcome those protests. It shows that even during war, listen, in 1864, the United States had a presidential election. Some people wanted to cancel it, saying that how could you elect Lincoln when there's a civil war? And they still had the election. Israel's the same. Let's just go through Candace Owens' history of anti-Semitism. That is utterly unconnected.
I will let you do that. I will let you do that, and she can respond. But on my specific point, though, do you accept that it's perfectly possible, and indeed it should be in a robust democratic society, a central tenet of this, that Israel's government and its prime minister should be criticised by anyone who chooses to criticise them, without the people who criticise them being branded anti-Semitic?
Of course. I am a very close friend of Netanyahu, and I criticize him allowing Qatar. Qatar is one of the most duplicitous, evil governments in the world. They house all of the leaders, the billionaire leaders of Hamas. I criticize Benjamin Netanyahu, my dear friend, for allowing money to go into Hamas in the belief.
The Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99 each. Live free, eat Sonic.
That they could be bought off of. I criticize the Israeli government for not recognizing the Armenian genocide, something that Candace Owens blames the Jews. She actually says that Kemal Ataturk was led by the Jews to the Armenian genocide. By the way, the Armenian genocide took place under the Ottoman Turks, not Kemal Ataturk. She has no sense of history, and she just fabricates constantly.
Okay,
but let's just look for one moment.
Okay, on the specific
wait one second. But let's just go through her history of anti-Semitism, please.
Yes, you said you had specifics of Candace Owens being
I will. Yes,
being anti-Semitic. What are those examples?
Okay. You see, the Jewish community did not want Candace Owens to be anti-Semitic. This is actually a tragedy that a woman gifted by God with such eloquence has decided to become a purveyor of hate. And when she said in 2018 that she has no issue with Hitler because if he was a nationalist, but then he wanted to go beyond her borders, even then we didn't call her an anti-Semite. That's an absurd thing to say, that you had no issue with Hitler. Hitler, even domestically by then, had enacted all the Nuremberg laws. There was already the November 9th, 1938 pogrom.
Well, hang on. Just to clarify, let's take these one at a time. What do you believe she said about Adolf Hitler in the clip you're talking about?
She said that there was no issue with Hitler except for the fact that he went beyond his borders. If he was a nationalist,
let's play the clip.
Enough.
Let me play the clip.
It's domestic. No, but my point is, no one called her.
In the interest of fairness, I'm going to play the clip so that viewers who've never heard it can hear what actually got said.
Yeah, I agree. I actually don't have any problems at all with the word nationalism. I think that it gets, the definition gets poisoned by elitists that actually want globalism. Globalism is what I don't want. So when you think about, whenever we say nationalism, the first thing people think about, at least in America, is Hitler. You know, he was a National Socialist, but if Hitler just wanted to make Germany great and have things run well, okay, fine. The problem is that he had dreams outside of Germany. He wanted to globalize. He wanted everybody to be German, everybody to be speaking German, everybody to look a different way. That's not, to me, that's not nationalism. So in thinking about how it could go bad down the line, I don't really have an issue with nationalism. I really don't. I think that it's okay. It's important to retain your country's identity and to make sure that what's happening here, which I think is incredibly worrisome in terms of the decrease in the birth rate that we're seeing in the UK, is what you kind of want to avoid. So I don't have I have no problems with nationalism. It's globalism that I try to avoid.
So Candace, on that specific point, would you say that Rabbi Shmuley has categorized it correctly or not?
He's just openly lying, and that's why he didn't want you to play the clip. I was in the UK, by the way. I was at the Royal Mobile Club. There were Jewish journalists in the room, and nothing was written about it until months later when somebody was working on a hit piece about me. I was answering a question when they were saying, how can we just embrace the word nationalism when it sort of has this dirty feel? And I was just essentially saying that I actually don't have an issue with nationalism. I think it's totally fine to be a British nationalist, to be an American nationalist. And the problem is that it's wrongly attributed. That word, I think people instantly associate it with Adolf Hitler. And I would argue that he wasn't actually a nationalist because obviously he invaded Poland and he went beyond German borders. I didn't even mention Jewish people. I didn't mention the Holocaust. And suddenly you have people like Rabbi Shmuley who are pretending that I got up there and I defended Adolf Hitler. It's just, this isn't
that is not
business.
What she said.
And this is why I say
we just watched
right
the clip.
now, please don't cut me off. Please do not cut me off. A huge issue that you have right now is this dishonesty. If you really want to understand why Israel is facing a PR crisis, why Zionism right now to people doesn't feel good and they don't want to associate themselves with it, is because it seems like it takes so many lies to maintain. There's no reason to misrepresent what I said and to tell people that I support Adolf Hitler, other than the fact that you want people to hate me. And so I'm deeply appreciative of the fact that you guys had that clip ready to go.
Well, you may respond to what she just said and to that clip. Now you've watched it.
Okay. She keeps on saying lying. I never said you shouldn't play the clip. I'm actually happy you did. She said if Hitler had...
Real quick, my thing is that, of course, this has been miscategorized. It has been, the way that he spoke about what she said in regards to that clip, totally off base. So it's definitely baseless and meritless what he's talking about right now.
On domestic policy, she would have had no issue with him. His domestic policy was to the Kristallnacht, burn down 3,000 synagogues in a single night domestically. That was not in Poland. That was not in Czechoslovakia. His domestic policy was the 1934 New...
Listen, he just lied to your face to get you to give him an emotional response. If that's not evil, if it's not wicked, I don't know what it is. This is just purely based on wanting an emotional response. So he lied about a situation. And Piers brought out the clip that he was referring to, set the record straight. Now he's going into Hitler and what she has to say about Hitler. But let's just continue. I just wanted to throw that out there just so we can pay attention to what the deception and what this guy's doing. The smoke and mirrors, all of this other stuff that he's doing to avoid a lot of the hard questions that Piers has been asking, So let's
Nuremberg laws. His domestic policy was a complete dictatorship where he destroyed the Bundestag and subjected and created Dachau under Himmler. So those are the historical facts. Now but what I said was, even then, the Jewish community gave her a pass. She explained it. One mistake, people make mistakes. Here's her history of anti-Semitism. She's not going to be barred from going into Australia because of anything she said about Israel. That is a fabrication. She's going to be barred. Australia is my wife's country, born in Sydney. She's going to be barred to go to Australia because she's a Holocaust denier, because a 100-year-old victim of Yosef Mengele, the angel of death's experiments, came forward and said, "You are going to traumatize me all over again." She actually said that Mengele's experiments, the fourth worst person in Nazi Germany after Hitler, Himmler.
If you need insurance from a change in life, like you left your job, got a husband or wife. If you turn 26, lose your folks plan too. Healthcare.gov is here for you. Check out the website for what you can do. Just remember, limited time to enroll. Healthcare.gov is here for you.
For Buick, we want you to feel really special. We want the driver to really
Goebbels, Mengele, where it was a fabrication. She's an out-and-out Holocaust denier. And Australia, God bless them, took in so many survivors after the war, including my wife's family from Slovakia.
Well, let me ask Candace Owens now.
Let me ask her now. She said that the Mengele experiments were false. Go ahead.
Let me ask Candace Owens now two things. One, are you a Holocaust denier, or do you accept that 6 million Jews were killed by the Nazis in the Holocaust? And secondly, do you believe that Joseph Mengele did what he is reported to have done and has been since World War II ended?
Thank you for those questions. No, absolutely, I am not a Holocaust denier. This is, again, another fabrication based off of a monologue that I did in which I was putting pressure on the American government to explain why it is a fact that we learned all of these things about the horrific things that Nazi scientists did. And to be clear, Piers, I did not even mention Joseph Mengele's name in this skit at all. I spoke about all of the things that we learned, that we were told over the years, some of which ended up being rebutted, and there were tons of that part doesn't matter. The point is, the end conclusion of that is that the CIA, via an operation known as Operation Paperclip, took the Nazi scientists and brought them to America, where they continued horrific experiments on Americans. That's the full context of that. So they pulled out a statement, like one sentence, where I said, we've heard all of these sorts of things that they've done, cut people in half, sewed them back together. And I said, that sounds like a ridiculous waste of time. And when you pull that clip up by itself, it sounds like I'm just diminishing all of these stories, when in reality, I'm saying, let's take everything at face value. Let's say everything we've ever heard was true. Why on earth would the American government acquiesce to bringing these scientists over to America? And as a fact, Dr. Mengele was not one of the scientists which was brought over to America. So
but just to be clear, you accept.
Listen, one thing I'm sick of having to remember the Holocaust, but being told, that the international slave trade was years ago and I should get over it. Upwards to at least 300 million people, right? If I were to look this up during the international slave trade, how many people were murdered and killed and sodomized and raped and abused during that time is well over 6 million, well over that. And, this one situation that's being pushed on the public, right, as to this overshadows the international slave trade. This overshadows the millions of people who were already here in the Americas, who were reclassified as slaves when they were conquered and their lands were taken. The Native Americans who were already here and reclassified as slaves and sold into slavery, and all these atrocities committed on them. But we have to remember the Holocaust. We have to remember Anne Frank. We have to remember all these other people. And we can't speak against or speak in contrary to it. There's nothing, we can't be critical of the Holocaust. We can't speak certain truths about it, because not only is the truth hidden, but also if we do, then you're labeled as an anti-Semite, right? You're anti-Semitic. if you are speaking in regards to the Holocaust. Well, listen, the thing is this, right? The international slave trade was one of the worst things that has ever happened on the planet in human history, in regards to people being murdered, killed, raped, castrated. And it happened for years, and it's still an after effect on its people until this day. We still have trauma that we suffer from just based on continuous segregation or continuous racial situations, as to where, like I just said, black farmers couldn't get any funding for quite some time, and now finally they're able to get the funding that they need, right? But it's been so long where they have to fight to actually be treated as an equal, as their counterparts, to be able to get the funding that they need. And these are some of the things that are still going on in this country and worldwide today, where many blacks are hated and looked down upon. But we have to pay homage to the Holocaust. We have to recognize Anne Frank. We have to support Israel, and whereas to where we are the most, my thing is that, what do you think about this whole thing? And am I just shooting in the dark here? Just let me know what your thoughts is in the comment section below. Does it seem like the Holocaust is something that's constantly pushed into your face, as to where it's much more important and holds more weight and more of an intense situation than the international slave trade has ever been? I really would like to know, because at this point, I'm starting to feel like that they want us to forget our own culture and history and what a lot of our people have come from. A lot of our people have went through these things and worse, when it comes to what they claim that they've been through. And I'm going to continue to say it again. You guys, after the World War II, you guys were placed in that land. You weren't from that land. This is the reason why Palestine never accepted you. You were placed there. You're not from there. But let's continue. I believe we're going to get into a little bit more here, and then I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. But we pretty much got the gist of the conversation here. Rabbi Shmuley, he's going to tap dance. He's going to, Sam Buck, boom, coon, dance around every single question. Not going to answer it straight. And he's not going to speak against his people, just like he mentioned one of the guys that said, my good friend. He said he's critical of him, but of course it's his good friend because he still wants to be on good terms with him. So it's not like you're critical of him and you're hard on him, because what's the book say? The book says an open rebuke is better than secret love. And I believe that you're secretly loving them and you're not openly rebuking them for the things that you disagree with.
Hang on, I'll come to you, Rabbi Shmuley. To be clear, you accept the Nazis murdered 6 million Jews in the Holocaust?
Yeah, I have never once in any of my appearances
I'm just asking you to clarify.
Denied the Holocaust atrocities.
Okay.
Ever.
And you accept that Joseph Mengele was a despicable man who perpetrated horrendous crimes, including experimenting on Jewish people when they were still alive?
All of the scientists, the Nazi experiments that were done were horrific. And that's why I was saying they were so horrific that it makes you go, why on earth would the American government in this clandestine operation bring over the Nazi scientists who then became a part of our CIA and continued experiments onto America through to the 60s and the 70s. And I was
let me ask Rabbi
what those
Shmuley
experiments were that was done throughout the Korean War.
Rabbi Shmuley, your response.
And I read it.
After this debate, we will post every single clip. That was a complete and utter fabrication. What she said was that she doubts that any of this happened because it was, as she just said, a waste of time. The whole Holocaust was a waste of time. Hitler had no winter equipment for his soldiers in Stalingrad under General Paulus in 1942 because the boxcars were taking Jews to Auschwitz. You see, that is what hatred is, Candace. It's where you hate so much that it becomes self-destructive. It's what's happening to you. You're a very gifted, eloquent, broadcaster, you are self-destructing before America's eyes because you have some issue with the Jews, not with Israel. So let me continue. You actually said that Theodore Herzl was a Frankist. By the way, when you attack Frankists as a bunch of Jewish pedophiles, you forget to mention they all became part of your religion. They all converted in 1757 to Catholicism. You always omit that. But you said that Theodore Herzl was a Frankist, and you said he set up the state of Israel as a refuge for pedophiles. This is before Gaza. This is before Rafah, as a refuge for Jewish pedophiles. You always refer to Jews as pedophiles. It's the main word you use about Jews. And every historian knows that what began in Norwich in 1099 with the first blood libel, where the Jews were falsely accused of taking a Christian child and drinking his blood.
You've been accused of plagiarizing your master's thesis. If you tell the truth, you can have this bucket of blood.
You actually believe that. You said that Christian bodies, this is before Rafah, this is before Israel, that Christian bodies were found all over Europe. And when you speak about pedophilia, you know, it's funny, you just converted to Catholicism. In 2002, Pope John Paul II, a pope that you would probably like, he was very conservative, he was a great man, great friend of the Jewish community, recognized the state of Israel, sent an ambassador in 1994. He apologized, very frail, to the world Catholic community, saying that at least 2% of all Catholic priests were pedophiles. Later, Pope Benedict XVI apologized again. I met Pope Benedict, a great man, great friend of the Jewish community. He said it was 4%. Then Pope Francis raised it probably even higher, 6%. We know 1 million people, almost 1 million people, children in France alone, according to the French government, were abused by Catholic priests. But you've never once condemned Catholic pedophilia. Everyone knows it was the biggest scandal in the world, but only the Jews are pedophiles. Is that anti-Semitism?
Okay, let me ask Candace, do you condemn pedophiles in the Catholic Church, Christian pedophiles?
Yeah, he's just lying again. Actually, on my show, I spoke extensively about Frankism, and I told people that there was a conversion into the Catholic faith. And one of the things that I believe is that all of the Abrahamic religions have been infiltrated by Satanists, and that is what I've said. So they've decided to pull apart only the piece where I'm talking about Judaism and not where I'm speaking about all of the faiths having been infiltrated, and speaking about how it's important for everyone to recognize this so that you can realize that there is this sort of satanic cult that's operating within all of the faiths. And I think that they use Christians and they use Jews and Muslims as well. I've said that on my show multiple times, so he's just absolutely lying about that. I think the difference here is that you'd be hard pressed to find a Catholic that would in any capacity defend pedophilia. Now, regarding what he is saying that I said Judaism is filled with pedophiles, that is objectively a nonsense. I am a Christian. I'm aware of what the first 5 books of my Bible are. That would be me insinuating that, okay, well, the first 5 books of my Bible are inspired by pedophilia. That's absolutely false. What I said, and I'm hopeful that this is something that the rabbi will agree with, is that it is a fact that Jewish pedophiles, American Jewish pedophiles, escape and run and hide in Israel, where they are given safe harbor by the government. That is a fact. They will not extradite our pedophiles. That is an absolute nonsense, given the many billions of dollars that we give to Israel, that we can't get back the men that are raping children, okay? And I can't imagine a single person that would think otherwise, that is not a nonsense and that we should not be giving back those pedophiles. And to be clear, it wasn't Candace Owens who researched and came up with this. It was an incredible Jewish organization that looked into this, talked about how wrong it was, and brought it into the mainstream media. If you don't like that Israel is harboring pedophiles, that's not on me. That is on the state of Israel. Okay, again, I am condemning the state of Israel for harboring American pedophiles and not extraditing them. Do you have a disagreement there, Rabbi? If so, please share.
Now, let me just say this, okay? That the Holocaust, of course, let me acknowledge that that is, of course, an atrocity and it should never have happened. It was a disgusting situation as well. And, you know, one of the things is that I'm really grateful that the world came together to defend and protect the people during that time, and they banded together to get them to safety. And one of the most beautiful things that I've seen in our history, in human history, is World War II and fighting for people who could not fight for themselves. So I'm going to acknowledge that the Holocaust, it was bad, extremely bad, and something that should not have happened, right? However, I'm going to lead off into this, right? I'm going to shoot this rabbit while it's running. Yes, pedophiles being in Israel and basically given a free pass because, you know, of course, they're here in the U.S. and they've molested someone, a child under the age of 13. I believe the statistics go on to show that at least 26% of the population in Israel, Orthodox Jews, have been molested. At least 13% of them were under the age of 13. Well, 16%, I'm sorry. At least 16% of them were under the age of 13, and they've reported molestation of some sort. And based on what is being said in Israel, from Jewish reporters are reporting that within the Orthodox Jewish community, it is the highest. It is substantially higher than the normal population of people of molestation and pedophile activity, right? Now, this is not going to say that I'm accusing any of them of being pedophiles, right? The ones who have been caught with their hands in the cookie jar are the ones who've been caught, okay? I'm saying that this may be a secret thing amongst the people, just as though it may be a secret thing amongst the people in Hollywood, and now it's being exposed. Only time could be able to tell that, but I don't want to paint a broad brush. Based on what's being said here in pedophile activity, she literally is just saying that the men who have been convicted and tried and convicted of being a pedophile have went to Israel to escape judgment, right? And is a fugitive from raping children, okay? In which those same children will have to suffer, right? And will never be the same for the rest of their life, okay? They will never be the same. They will never be able to get that back. And they will never be able to get those men who committed those atrocities to justice. And then that's just the thing, to have no justice and to be abused in that way and to have no justice is crazy. So, you know, I think that's an admirable thing to even discuss and talk about, is that being one of the problems in Israel. One of the problems between Israel and the U.S. U.S. funding billions, no trillions of dollars to Israel, and we can't get the people who have committed these crimes back into the U.S. to face their judgment. You know, they should be working a little more tight knit with the U.S. to extradite people who need to be extradited, right? But let's get back to it.
Thank you, Candace. Not only is that absolute lie and fabrication against Israel, the most famous example, the country that will now bar you from entering because you're a Holocaust denier, not because of Israel, because a 100-year-old experimentee of Mengele came forward and said, "Do not subject me to this trauma."
She's just Interior Minister clear of Australia said, "Wait, what's that?" Well, she just said it.
No. But she denies Mengele's experiments. You can't call someone a Holocaust
denier when they've literally just said 6 million Jews got killed in the Holocaust.
Wait.
That's not Holocaust denial.
Wait a second. Come on, Piers. You're more subtle than that.
It's not about being subtle.
Say that 6 million Jews died. You can say
she believes
of course you could be a Holocaust denier. Why don't you let me answer, please? You could say that 6 million Jews were accidentally bombed by Curtis LeMay and by Bomber Harris, and there was no Zyklon B. She said that Mengele did not do those experiments. By the way, this is not my decision. This is the government of Australia that is barring her. Please don't interrupt me, Candace. The most famous example in Australia of a Jewish pedophile. Please don't interrupt me. The most famous example of a Jewish pedophile was a woman named Malka Laufer. She was a religious woman from Melbourne, Australia. And she apparently abused 74 children. She ran to Israel. She was prosecuted.
There's absolutely zero difference between being team captain of a championship football team and team captain of a
Executed by Israel, extradited, the entire, she's in Australia being prosecuted right now. This is a total fabrication. And it comes down to what Candace has the most unhealthy obsession with Jewish sexuality. Notice that everything, we all know that the Vatican, of course, took cardinals, like the Cardinal Archbishop of Boston, and gave them the highest positions in the Vatican. She has never criticized that. Only Israel. Now, Candace, let me ask you a point-blank question. Did you say that Theodore Herzl, you said he was a Frankist or descended from Frankists. Again, Frankists all became Catholic. He was Jewish. Did you say that Theodore Herzl set up Israel as a haven for Jewish pedophiles?
Okay, first and foremost, I just want to debunk your claim that what I said was a lie. It is in CBS News, and it was the Jewish Community Watch, an American organization that tracks accused pedophiles who has been trying for years to find a specific pedophile. They are the ones that brought this to the forefront, and CBS News partnered with them.
What's the name of the pedophile? What's the name of that pedophile? I just gave you a name, Malka Laufer. What's the name of that pedophile?
Well, they were tracking down
you
a
don't
pedophile
know, do you?
named Carew.
Now let's go to the Vatican. How many people they allowed? How many cardinal archbishops were protected?
Please don't cut me off. Please don't cut me off.
Okay.
You told a lie, and so I'm debunking it live for you. The pedophile
What's
they were
the
tracking
name
down
of the pedophile they're looking for? What's the name?
I'm trying to say it for the third time. His name is Jimmy Julius Carew.
You're looking it up right now? You mean you said all this and you had no idea?
The title of the article in CBS News is entitled, How Jewish American Pedophiles Hide from Justice in Israel. CBS News teamed up with a Jewish organization and came to this conclusion because they were the ones that brought it to the forefront. So courageous Jewish people who are calling this out
Do we really need someone to read off the internet in a debate? This is not your show. This is a debate.
Okay.
I am debunking.
Did you say that Theodore Herzl created the state of... No, Piers, did she say that Theodore Herzl set up Israel?
We are getting too obsessionally sidetracked into pedophilia.
No. This is one critical thing. Did she say that Theodore Herzl set up Israel as a haven for pedophiles?
I want to end. We've got to end the debate, and I want to end the debate by giving you both this opportunity. Right? You are both religious people. Right? Every religion purports to be peace-loving.
So we pretty much got the gist of what is going on there. Of course, ending here is them speaking about or trying to give each other a compliment. Okay, so listen, I'm gonna just say it off top, right? Candace Owens was able to give him at least some type of compliment as far as him having a platform to bring some of the issues within Israel to light, right? To be able to be discussed amongst a world forum, right? World format. For the world to be able to hear and discuss, as to where he went on to give her half compliments and insult her. Go and watch it for yourself in its entirety over on Piers Morgan's YouTube channel. Shout out to Piers Morgan. Of course, he never fails to deliver some really good debates, controversial topics, things like that are set for the world. I think that every time I go to his YouTube channel and listen in on some of the conversations, I tend to learn a lot, from a lot of different individuals who pop up there. I think that Piers is pretty balanced and fair in a lot of his situations. He'll come at either one of them. You know what I mean? If he feels he needs to. I think he tries to keep it as balanced as possible. So yeah, go check him out if you haven't already. Of course, you already know he has a big platform, major platform, 3.2 million subscribers, of course. That's not what this is about. What this is really about is the truth, and the truth versus lies, right? The truth versus lies, what people would like to spread, what propaganda someone would want to push, what they want you to actually know. And they don't want you to know anything that's of value, that's factual enough, right? And what we just witnessed and watched was Rabbi Shmuley do exactly what the game plan is. He stuck to the code. You feel me? He stuck to the code. Y'all know he stuck to the code. He stuck to the code. And the code is to protect your people regardless of anything. And my thing is that us as melanated folks, melanated people, some of the most powerful beings on this planet, okay? You know what I mean? Like, we don't have a code. We don't stick to a code. You know what I mean? Because if somebody like Candace Owens is going up against somebody like Rabbi Shmuley, she would have a backing and support system from the melanated community, from black community, and supporting in what her beliefs is, right? Her position, backed by truth and facts, right? And we would actually adhere to it and support her in what she's doing. I think there's quite a number of us who do, but I also believe that the majority of us do not. You know what I mean? Just based on what they've been told by the mainstream media, and Rabbi Shmuley would be a part of that, right? Because they control your mainstream media and what you listen to. So let's just keep it honest, right? Let's keep it above. When we hear a lot of this rhetoric, right? A lot of talk, they're supposed to be there talking about the war in Gaza, the bombing in Gaza. People who, over 40,000 people so far have been named to be deceased, right? Children are involved in this. You go, like I said, on the X platform, formerly known as Twitter, you'll see so many different accounts and so many different videos of children being mass slaughtered over there, as to where they're telling them, hey, go to this place. We're not bombing here. Go there for safe haven for the people who have nothing to do with their wars. And I'm not going to put it on the back of all of Israel, right? Because it's not all of them. I don't believe not all of them support Israel in this war. Okay, I'm going to put it on the back of their leadership. Their leaders, the leaders of not only the Orthodox Jews, but also the leaders in Israel, making decisions, pressing the buttons. When they're telling them to go to this safe haven and they bomb it right after they say, hey, go there, it was obviously intentional. This is an extermination. This is not anything else other than that. All because those people in Palestine do not receive you as being the people of those lands. My thing is that, once the truth does reveal itself and come out, this is year 2024. This is the year of truth. You know what I mean? Everything is coming to light. And they're going to continue to reveal themselves and open up. You're going to hear about plenty of this. You're already hearing about it in Russia. You're going to start hearing about it in Palestine. Once those people are able to come up for air, okay? Once they're able to come up from air, they will give the truth as to what's really going on there. And the truth has already been revealed, but the deeper truths will continue to come out as well and be revealed. I appreciate you guys joining me today on the Worship Podcast. It's your host, Barack. Peace for Palestine, peace for Gaza, and love. And love. We need to stop the bombings over there, stop the war, and come together and shed some light on what some of the differences are in circumstances so we can have a better society, better unity, right? Because light creates understanding. Understanding creates love. Love creates patience. And patience creates unity. It's your host, Barack, for the Worship Podcast, and we out. We'll see you in the next video, man. Y'all let me know. Please like this video, comment, subscribe. Let me know what your thoughts is in the comment section below. We'd love to hear about them, right? Do you support Candace and what she's doing, or do you not support her? All right? Let us know. Let me know, all right? Until next time, peace.